perfect time. Just like with 15 things are going at once there.
I'm no worry.
I'm just gonna turn this
Do
on.
whatever you need to do.
Sellers and buyers have great expectations, and as a real estate agent, you take pride in fulfilling them. But some things are beyond your control. So what can you do? Choose Home Warranty of America's 13-month plans. HWA plans cover the home buyer against any breakdowns or repairs, keeping you and your clients safe from any covered claims. We offer comprehensive plans with competitive pricing, and our dedicated team will work with you every step of the way. To learn more, contact HWA today.
You don't have a blue pen up there, do you?
Pardon me?
You don't have a blue pen, do you? I started this in blue and it'll drive me nuts if I finish it in black. Thank you.
Membership in the Keller Williams International Luxury Division allows me to compete against boutique brokers.
Network internationally.
The referrals are in.
Thanks for life. Luxury branding, luxury reach.
We have exploded our luxury business since we joined.
We go in and sell the Bible. See, we're also selling the Keller Williams brand, global reach. It touches and reaches more people than any other company.
We can expose their home to
Jim, the industry's outside.
no other company.
Fun to get away, they're always in great spots.
Family reunion is just an amazing opportunity to meet other agents.
Last family reunion, I went to the luxury reception and just reconnected with an agent that I had met when I first came to the
The magazines and mail, they go all over the world.
Being in luxury is elevated in a way that I can serve.
We're so excited about the future of Keller Williams and the luxury division.
Hi, it's John Denver with another catered meeting that I'd like to.
Perfect.
So our team came out today to help Aaron.
Plus 8, I believe, is the crew they said today.
He's not covered by FEMA help.
I don't know what I just drove up, people in red shirts, running around in red shirts. They came in here, taking drywall down,
Pulling out furniture.
I mean, it is so grimy, so nasty.
This storm didn't care who you were. It hit hard.
128 families.
All right, let's get started.
They're live now, that's all.
Good afternoon, Keller Williams. And Keller Williams Worldwide, good afternoon. This is being live streamed back to Market Centers. Glad to have you all here today. The topic today, if you look at the screen, is fill your CGI, your Career Growth Initiative pipeline, with lead gen. That's a substitute for the term lead generation. Who has not heard of lead generation? FSBOs. Everybody heard of FSBOs? Expireds, Sphere, geographic farming, internet leads, Facebook marketing, door knocking, flyering, just listed, just sold cards. Have you guys heard about all this stuff? So what are we doing here? You already know everything I'm going to talk about. The truth is, you all have issues with lead generation. Is that true? You got issues. Everything starts though and falls or rises with lead generation in your business. True or false? That is true. That is true. Lead generation is two things. Lead generation is very simple to understand cognitively, so the problem is not comprehension. It is two things. It is prospecting and marketing. Prospecting has an incredible benefit in that it takes no money, and it works really well. Is that true? But it has a negative in that it takes what? Your time. But because it is so good, it works so well, you get busy, and when you get busy, you run out of time because you're making money. In the classic realtor world where your production looks like this. It's up and down. It's times of lean, and then you get a whole bunch of leads through prospecting, and then you get really busy, and you're not prospecting, and then you wake up and I got no more leads, and now you're back at it again. Is this the truth? The CGI initiative, the growth initiative tools are designed to help you combat the reality of lead gen is a struggle. The busier you get, the harder it is to do effectively. We're going to talk about those issues today. The second thing is marketing. And marketing takes money, but takes less time. The power of marketing is that if you do get consistently busy, marketing can work when you're not working. Is that true? Okay? It is a much harder thing to do to create powerful marketing that works. And we're going to talk about how to do that today. Gary Keller, if you were listening yesterday, he talked very specifically about the need for you to truly, for our industry's changing times, you need to truly understand the power of you possessing data. How many of you have heard the phrase, your business is your database? You've heard that forever in Keller Williams, have you not? Yeah. So we're not at all new to the understanding of that, but you all, and me, I'm an agent too, collectively, we are imperfect in our approach to collecting data. We really haven't done a good job of collecting data. Is that true? Okay? And what kind of data are we talking about people? What kind of data do you need from people? You need an old acronym, FORD. You need F-O-R-D on people. There are other acronyms for the kind of data you collect, but you need to collect data about people's family. Do family situations create housing movement? Yes or no? Yes. 1/3 of births. 1/3 of births create a home purchase or sale the year of the birth. 1/3. Having babies changes everything. Would you agree with that? My wife and I have had 4 kids, and we've had a house for every kid. We're a walking demographic. Babies being born, houses being built. That's all there is to it. But understand that piece of data. If you knew that people intended to have a baby or were actually pregnant, be careful about asking this kind of question. You're supposed to win friends, not make enemies. Right? But if you had this information, would that be important for you to know that somebody just found out they're having a baby? Does that matter? Absolutely matters. I have 4 children. 4. 2 boys, 2 girls. Last year, my son, our baby, went off to college in the fall. Now, what does that mean in terms of my housing situation? We're staring at downsizing. My wife and I started talking about it how long ago? 2 years ago. People who are going to downsize, who have 3 or 4 kids and their baby is getting ready to go off to college, they're very aware of the reality that they won't need this big old house. They're very aware that their life is going to change radically. More freedom to not be tied to the school calendar for the things that we do in our life. Is that true? So people talk about this reality years ahead. If you had the data on how many children people had and their ages, you could absolutely predict, at minimum, the downsize opportunity. You could see the downsize opportunity a decade ahead of it happening. This is data. This is really important data. And we collectively have not done a good job of collecting. With the reality of better data create better lead generation for you. Yes or no? Yes. So we're going to talk more about that. Write this down. There's one piece of data on your Mets that should be in the database, and most of you don't have it, and that is the date, the anniversary date of the deed transfer of the home they live in. You have family members and friends, you didn't sell them the house, but you're not reminding them about how many years they've lived in that house. Congratulations, this is 7.5 years or 8 years you've lived in the home you're in. It's your anniversary date. Yeah, 7.5 is the wrong thing to say. But every year on the anniversary date, you should send them a mailer and remind them, you've lived there 8 years, should we talk? Now you can load that up however you want to do it, but understand, just like my wife and I started talking about the downsize, a couple of years ahead. People start thinking or talking about moving a couple of years ahead, a lot of them. Is this true? How many of you have people on websites that are getting drips that won't respond to an email or a phone call, but they don't opt out, and they keep those things rolling, and every now and then one of them surfaces. And you go back and look and say, this person's been getting a drip for 18 months, and now they finally surfaced. Guess what? They started thinking about buying a year and a half ago. And they got, lucky you, they got on your drip. So you shouldn't look at all those people that are getting dripped on that won't respond to you as nothing. They're probably a buyer potentially, but they're not quite ready, and they're just gathering information. But they know it's going to happen. They know it's going to happen. We have over 20,000 people getting drips that won't respond. I stare at it and go, whatever. It's like, I don't know what we're going to do with this thing. But if we ever have low lead flow, the agents will just jump into that deal and try to find out who has surfaced recently, who went back on and dove into a house that they got dripped. Because the people that pop up and start looking again, that's just what they do. They're dormant, and all of a sudden they start looking at some of the drips they get. So you can go back and mind that. This is the whole idea about marketing and prospecting, though. You need to talk to people. How many of you have been to Bold? Wow, that's awesome. All of you been to Bold. Now, Bold is a very complex training. You have to learn computer code and SEO, and you have to learn all about advertising rates and how to contact deals with marketing companies. And is this true? No. What's Bold about? Practice what to say to people and then say it to people. A lot of people. Is that true? And if you're in Bold, what happens to your production? Goes up. Oh my God. It's a simple truth. If you talk to more people, you'll do more business. Is that true? And if you talk to more people and have better things to say to the people you talk to, you'll do even more business. Is that true? Yes, it is. And if you really qualify the people that you talk to and talk to those people at a very high level, you'll do the most business you're going to do. Is that true? Yes, it is. The reality about the need to talk to people is what both of these are about. Prospecting is you going out and trying to find somebody who wants to buy, sell, or refer. Marketing is about getting the person who wants to buy, sell, or refer to contact you. The goal of either one, though, is a contact between you and them. Y'all understand that? So everything is about prospecting, ultimately. Everything. Marketing creates a prospecting event. Prospecting, you create the prospecting event. Everyone that you are prospecting or marketing to some degree should be inside your database, inside your pipeline, and you should be collecting data every time you talk to them. You should collect data every time you talk to them. And if you were listening to Gary Keller, you really need to understand the reality of this. Your future in this industry is going to be who holds and who controls data. And the data you have on the people you know is the most important data there is for you to know. Okay? We on the same page here? All right, so your lead gen system. Your lead gen system, in order to be effective, must be consistent. The number one for you, because it forces you, at least for a short time period, to be consistent. Is that true? It forces you. It holds you accountable. Your peers hold you accountable, and you have to be consistent. What's the bold number of contacts today? 20 contacts. How many is that a week? 100. If you do that all year long, how many homes is that a recipe to sell? The maximum a single agent can probably do, 30 to 40 sales will come out of you doing that. The better quality of the contacts you're making will drive more sales. The poorer quality, it'll drop down. Better things to say will increase it. You say, well, I'm in another contest. Could you help me out here? That's not a better thing to say. It's something to say, but it's not a better thing to say if you've already said it 5 times to them. You understand that? You need better things to say. Here's the funny thing about marketing. Marketing, the whole purpose in marketing is to create or build and sustain conversations. If I send you something before we have a conversation on the phone, is there something now for us to talk about? There is if the thing I sent you has value. if it's a valid communication. But if I'm sending you a picture of the sunset and a Happy New Year and yeah, don't forget to turn your clocks back, that really doesn't support a lot of real estate conversations, that stuff. So when you use canned marketing materials, you are literally sending out the textbook definition of junk mail. It has no relation to your business. It has no relation to them. Lots of people are telling them the same thing. It's just useless, and they don't need it. Is this true? Okay? We're going to talk more about effective mailers later. But here's the way to think about your lead gen system. You have 3 systems in your business. The seller system and the buyer system are 2 complete systems. They're different from the lead gen system in that your seller and buyer system are finite. They have a start point and they have an end point. The start point is first point of contact. Hey, I got your name from Bob at work. I need to sell my house. He says you guys are awesome. I'd like to talk to you. From that point to, congratulations, here's your check. You're now closed. That's your end point. You literally can step out what you do between those steps. Yes or no? Yeah, you can. Now, the lead gen system is not like that. Rebecca and I have a team for 27 years now. We sell a lot of houses. We have 5,600 past clients. 5,600. Is that cool? Just for my team collectively, that's over $1 billion in houses. That is a content-rich environment to mine. Do y'all get that? We can dive into that and find business. So our business today is 70% plus or minus past client repeat and referral. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's actually the way any strong local business should look. There's not a restaurant or a shoe store or a gas chain or oil change company in your town that's been there for a decade or longer that doesn't have basically regulars rolling through the door all the time. Is that true? And they tell their friends about it too. Is that true? Yep. So that's normal. It's not weird for you to be like that. We got a problem though about that issue. And the issue is this. You can have people just adore the work you did to help them sell their home and buy a lovely new home, and you're just awesome, and they just love you to death. But they're not going to do it again for 7 to 10 years. Y'all get that? They're just not. I don't care how good a job you did. They might want you to marry their children, but they're not buying another house. So what do we have to focus on, the repeat or the referral? The referral. For almost every other business, it's the repeat they focus on. But for us, you can't focus on that or you'll go 7 years hungry. It is the referral. So what do we have to focus on? This 30-day wheel. You got to touch, 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 touch. Because here's the truth. People will use you again 7 years later and they've never referred you. How many of you has that happened to? Yep, yep, yep. So the funny thing is, it's actually harder to create a referral than it is a repeat, right? You have to make fans, and you got to ask, because it ain't coming easy. When they get pushed out of their house by the kids getting really big, they'll call you. That's what drives them to call you. But there's no real burning desire on their mindset every day to think about finding an opportunity for you. In fact, they don't think about you much at all unless you contact them. Is that true? And doesn't Bowl prove this to you? They will help you if you contact them, but if you don't, ain't nothing happening. Is that true? All right, so what you need to think about your lead gen is this. Get out a generic 30-day calendar. The impact of this program today, if it's going to have any sustaining impact for you, it's going to depend on you doing exactly what I'm talking about on this slide. You get out a generic 30-day calendar, and you ask yourself these questions. Now, what am I going to do once a month, and when do I do it? Once a month. And the reason it's a 30-day calendar is that lead generation that's going to matter will happen within every single month. Things that only happen 2 or 3 times a year are not going to have significant impact on your sales volume. Do y'all get that? It's just not going to happen. So what do you do every month? A classic example for that would be geographic farming, where you send out a real estate report card once a month to that neighborhood. Yes? Is that a classic? Yep, it's a classic. When should it go out? The first week of the new month. Ideally, it should go in 2 or 3 days after the month ends. It ought to roll into their inbox. Here's what happened the last 30 days in your neighborhood. If it's 60 days, 90 days late, it's irrelevant to them. Because the things that matter in marketing are that things are current local and personal. So when you're sending them stuff in their neighborhood, that is local and that is personal to them, but it better be current or it's not personal to them, right? So that would be once a month. So the first week of this 30-day calendar, real estate report card, the 3rd of the month, every single month, and it has to go out exactly on that date. Then you ask yourself, now what do I do twice a month? Twice a month. The most common thing that you're going to do twice a month is you're going to send a message to your sphere and past clients every 2 weeks. Now you might do every 10 days, and I'm not attached to either one. What would the issue be about whether you do it twice a month or 3 times a month? What would the issue be? Result. If you're getting the results you want with 2, you don't need it. This mix on your calendar is going to be a mix of mail, call, see. Your mindset about your lead generation plan has to involve messaging, it has to involve calling, and it has to involve eyeballing. Now, if those 3 things happen, you'll get the best results you're going to get. So, what I would do twice a month is every 2 weeks I send out an email message to my sphere and past clients. That would go out the 2nd week of the month and the 4th week of the month. So now 3 weeks of the month I have a lead gen specific activity going on, which means I can fit it into my schedule to get it done. Does that make sense? If you think you're going to do all your lead gen junk in 1 week of the month, it's not going to happen more than it happens. Would you agree with that? Okay. Then what would you do 4 times a month? What would you do 4 times a month? Weekly. Every week, what would you do? Well, as part of your lead gen strategy, you do at least 1 open house every single week. Every single week. If that's going to be a serious part of your lead gen plan, then you must do 1 every single week. If you've got a door knock campaign, you got 500 homes that you're working. It's your farm. If you have 500 homes, I'm going to pound 50 houses every single week. If I do that, how long is it going to take me to knock on every home in the neighborhood? 10 weeks or 2.5 months. So every 90 days, I'm talking to as many people in the neighborhood as I can. Does this make sense to you? This is how you succeed. Bold proves this to you. You succeed by constant touch. Yes or no? Yeah, it ain't about a random knockoff because you just are finally ready to go door knock and try it out. And then it rains, you go, good, I don't have to do it. Is this true? And then you ask yourself, what do I do daily? And what should you do daily? Come on. Talk to people. Talk to people. Call is the most logical answer, but the fact is it is talk to people. You could go to ball games and talk to 50 people. Is that true? You could pop a bold 100 in 3 hours at a soccer game. Is that true? Yeah, it is not necessarily call. It is the most common, probable thing you're going to do. But understand, you are not wedded to the phone. You're wedded to talking to people. Y'all get that? That's the issue. It's about talking to people. And talking is on the phone, online, or face-to-face. In today's world, can you have a conversation like this? Yes, you can. How, if you have a team, Rebecca and I have a team, how would you accept someone and say, oh, I had a good talk with somebody online today? How would I know that was a good call online? You already had a tip on the answer to this. Because I could pull up that name in the database, and the data they collected was posted today in that file. Then I know they had a valid conversation. Because they could have chatted for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, but if they don't find something out about their probability of buying, selling, or referring that went into the database, then they wasted time. Y'all understand this? The power of the contact shows up in data collection. And if you're leading a team, it is about your monitoring the reality of are they actually collecting data or not. Does this make sense to you? Okay, so you've got yourself a 30-day wheel. Things that you do once a month, twice a month, weekly, and daily. Is this really clear? Okay, your commitment to that 30-day wheel is going to be the most important thing about you succeeding in lead generation. Bold makes you adopt that kind of mindset, so you know this works, right? Okay. When you think how you define all this, you're going to look at these issues about what you're trying to accomplish with your lead gen. And what you're trying to get with lead gen is appointments. There's only one goal, only one purpose to lead generation, and that's this, contact. And there's only one purpose of contact, and it's the appointment. And that's it. If you're calling FSBOs and you start trying to sell them on the phone about why they should hire you as their realtor, you don't understand it. Shut up. Get the appointment. You want to tell them to their face about why they should hire you to sell their property. Does everybody get that? And why is that important? Why is that important that you get face to face with people as fast as you can? You want the appointment. Well, they only interview one or two, but is it true that if you get the appointment, there are some experienced agents in the room? Is it true that if you get the appointment, the odds are better than 50% you'll do a deal? Yes or no? Yes. The conversion rate is very tested and proven. In the MREA economic model, it says very clearly at the top of the economic ladder, for 160 closed listings, you need 306 seller appointments. For the buy side, it's very similar. 308 appointments yields 160. So essentially, appointments yield closed sales 50% of the time. That has to mean that 2/3 of the time, you actually get the listing, whether it's the buyer or seller. Is that true? And then there's one more conversion, and that's to the closed sale. Stop talking on the phone too much. Get the appointment. Well, I'd just like to ask you about some of your statistics as an agent. Wonderful. I'll share that with you tomorrow morning at 10 when I'm at your house at 4 o'clock. Which works better for you? Well, you can share some stuff with me. Oh, I got stuff to share with you, bud. Let's meet tomorrow at 10 or 4 o'clock. Which works better with you? Well, I just want you to answer a few questions. Mr. Johnson, can I share something with you? It's been my experience that people who ask 3 questions and make decisions about the most expensive thing they own in their life are not going to make good decisions. Let me come over and see you at 10 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock. If you're serious about making a powerful decision, you need to meet somebody who can talk to you for 20 or 30 minutes and really set your head straight. Now, you can butter that up any way you can butter up. But that's the point. Get to the appointment. Understand you're not there to sell yourself. You're there to get the appointment. You understand that? You're there to get the appointment. You're not there to sell yourself. Sell yourself is what you do at the appointment. Stop talking. Or as we say, shut up. Okay. All right, it's the appointment goal that drives your lead gen. And when you understand this, then you will build a 115 if you're a new agent. Do we have any people in the business a year or less here? A year or less. All right, we got a few. We should have more. Okay, I'll take it. All right, you need to be thinking about a 115. And what that simply means is you need to have a sales goal of units. And then you need to have a priority or a focal point on where you're going to get the leads for the appointments for those sales. And then you need to have 5 activities related to that one focal area or that activities you're going to do in order to get those appointments. If you're a single agent who's not new, but you're not banging 30 or 40, you probably need to add one more and have a 125. And if you're a serious single agent, or if you're a team, and this is the truth about it, if you want to sell 200 houses a year, you do not need any more than a 135. If you listen to Gary's interviews at the beginning of Reunion, you hear very clearly that people sell tons of houses with a very narrow focus on 1, 2, or 3 things. Is that true? That's it. It's not about doing lots of things lightly. It's about doing a few things deeply. That is where you make the most success. And there's no question about it through KW research. This is the truth. So again, the one is always one big goal, and it is not money. It is never, ever money. If I want to sell $10 million, could that be 10 sales? Yes or no? Yes, some of you are in markets with $1 million average sales price. You could be 10 sales. But some of you are in other markets, more like mine, could that need to be 100 sales at $100,000 a pop to get to 10 million? Is the workload of 10 sales versus 100 very different? Okay, so you get the point. You do not focus on money. You focus on the workload that needs to be done. How many appointments do we need as the driver? That is the most important thing to focus on, is the appointments you need. So, when you come up with the 115, what you build out is going to determine the activities that you're going to do within that 30-day generic calendar. That's what it's going to tell you. Here's the 5 things. So if you had a 135, you'd have 15 things that ought to fit inside a 30-day calendar. Does this make sense to you? And then that's all you focus on, and that's what you track, and that's what you hold yourself or your coach will hold you accountable to. Those 15 things to sell 200 houses. That's the way it works. This is the most important thing to understand in terms of business planning. It's the start of the economic model is this calculation right here. And it creates the lead gen model. The 115, again, as we discussed it, could look like this. So here's an example of an agent who is a new agent who's lived where they've lived for quite some time, and they're going to get all their sales from working their sphere. And those of you that are new, or those of you that are not new but not as productive as you want to be you. So you're going to get 36 closed sales, you're going to get them from your sphere, and you're going to do 5 actions. And this is an example. This is not a dictate. I'm not telling you this is the only way to get sphere business, but this is an example. 24 mailers, which we already discussed. 4 phone calls. Every 90 days you're going to call them. If I'm going to call them every 90 days and I'm doing 2 mailers a month, how many mailers have they seen since my phone call? My last phone call? 6, right? It's 2 a month, 3 months. That's 6. 6 mailers. Yes or no? Yes. If you're going to be strategic about it, understand the people that you know, you're really hunting referrals more than you are repeats. Yes or no? Yes. So there's a chance they could know somebody who wants to sell or buy. Is that true? So you need to have 3 seller messages and 3 buyer messages. In terms of marketing, if a restaurant sent you a message in the mail and it said, if you're hungry, remember us because we have food. How effective is that marketing? It's terrible. And most agents say something similar. They say, hey, you need to buy or sell real estate? Keep me in mind. That's just like generic marketing. It's terrible. The people that market to you in your mail or in your inbox typically market to you with what? Specific offerings. Specific offerings. Domino's or Pizza Hut don't send you, we have 36 pizzas. They send you meat lover, large, $9.99 this month. And there's a big, hot, steaming pizza shot on the front. Is that true? And then 30 days later, white lovers on sale for the holiday, right? You follow me? What are they doing? They know it's better, you'll get better result to know that inside my group, my database, inside that, there's some white lovers, there's some meat lovers, there's some vegetarians, and if I talk to each one, I'll start to build a loyal fan base by selling each one what they're interested in. You get that? So what are our targets for marketing? What are our targets? People make housing moves, but they only do it every 7-10 years. Is that true? So what are our targets? Our targets are 5 things, plus 2, but it's 5 things. 5 things are your core business. Number 1, first-time buyer. First-time buyer. We are very lucky to have almost normative rates of first-time buyers. In fact, a lot of markets would have the normal percentage of buying being done by first-time buyers if we just have more inventory. Is that true for some of you? Yeah, we're tight on inventory. We got first-time buyers who want to buy and can't find anything, right? But we have first-time buyers, and then you have growing family. Those 2 are utility purchases. Utility meaning what? They're more about space and ease than anything else. They just want more room for their family, or they want to be able to park their car at their front door instead of 6 floors down in the parking lot of the apartment building. But they have issues about space and utility. And then you go to move up. And the move up is where they start to pay more per foot for similar sized housing. They want more with the house than just space. They want better floors, better school zones, better backyards, whatever, but they want something better, right? And then you have second move up. Rebecca and I have a home in a golf course community, and a golf course community in Florida will almost always have 3 kinds of housing. It'll have interior housing, it'll have golf course front housing, and then it'll have estate home housing, which is normally larger lots on a lake overlooking the golf course so that the golfers aren't like in your backyard. Because rich people don't want that, right? Y'all understand that? That's 3 kinds of housing. Any of you that are in those kinds of communities, you'll know there are people who move into that interior housing and end up buying on the golf course or on the estate section because they don't want to move anywhere else, but they want that kind of housing. Yes or no? Yep. Large-scale developers, they do this. They build townhome sections, they build small home sections, they build move-up, and then they got the golf course, and then they got the luxury homes. Is this true? Okay. The last house is the downsized house. The downsize. And the downsized house has been transitioning for almost 15 years as the boomers age out. And the reality is the downsize used to be a small, cheaper house, and truthfully, I'm from Florida, That actually built a whole lot of Florida. People selling the big old house up north, going to Florida, buying a small home, even maybe a trailer park home, saving that money in the bank and living off of it in retirement in Florida, right? Today's AARP report on downsizers is that they spend the same money or more as the house that they sell to downsize. They want a really nice house. They do want to downsize, but downsize to them is not cheaper money. It is get rid of every room we don't need, get rid of maintenance, get rid of the yard, get rid of everything. So a bunch of them come to Florida and buy a condo, right? Because that's what they do. They get rid of everything. And they pay big money to sit on the water, to look out the window, and love life. And it's cool. You can add to that the potential for luxury, and you can add to that vacation home, right? True luxury is going to be a single-digit percentage in most markets. I mean, it'll be 2, 3, 4% of the sales, and that's it. It's not a lot. You can make a lot of money per house, but you cannot make a lot of money by selling 150 or 200 units, because almost nobody can do that because there's not that inventory or demand. Everybody follow that? So you got to figure that out. I would also add one more potential in there, which, forgive me for saying this, but collectively you are not mining at all, and that is more residential real estate investment. There are investors who got created in the downturn. There are people that couldn't sell and had to rent their home. There are people who didn't have that problem, but they discovered things were so cheap. Maybe we ought to try real estate investing. My God, rents are skyrocketing, houses are cheap. Let's get a rental unit and try investing. And some of those people are now steadily buying to build up their asset base. What percent of sales last year went to residential investors? And the sales I'm talking about are only residential sales. 1 in 5 homes sold were residential investment properties, 1 in 5. So if you sold 20 houses and not a one was to an investor, you missed 5 sales in your marketplace. Should you do something about that? Yes, is this data we're talking about? Who would be interested in investing in real estate? Oh, gee, someone who's going to retire one day maybe? Somebody who's got kids to put through college? Where is college debt? I got 4 kids. This matters to me. I got 2 in college right now. Right now. My wallet is throbbing right now. Unpaid college debt in the United States is the largest single debt there is other than unpaid mortgage debt, and it is rising faster than unpaid mortgage debt. It is over $1 trillion. And why is unpaid college debt as big as it is? Because parents can't afford to pay for college. Suppose you told your database through once or twice a year mailer, and you know these people who have kids if you have their data, is that right? You know, if you have 3 children under the age of 5, you're going to have 2 or more kids in college at the same time. Learn how to buy their college education for 20 cents on the dollar if you act now. Do not wait past 5 years of age, and you can do this. Click here to find out how. Now, I'm telling you, any parents in the United States with small children will be thinking and worrying about college one day. I'm telling you, because they're all aware there's so many people, everybody's got a friend, relative, or coworker, somebody they know that's got college debt. Is this true? So this is not uncommon knowledge. And you're not talking about it, so they're not talking. Do y'all understand this? This is not happening for you because you don't talk about it. And the way you start is with these mailers. So we'll talk more about the mailers later. You mail them, and then you call them based on one of the 6 mailers that you sent them. And the reason you choose one of the 6 is because of what the data about them says to you. Does this make sense? How long have they lived in their house? How old are their kids? Where do they work? On and on and on and on. The data you've collected is predisposing your awareness of a housing need or opportunity. And you need to mine that data. Does this all make sense? So that's the 4 calls. Every 90 days I'm calling specifically. Hey, Bob, Gene Rivers, buddy, how you doing? Yep. How's Martin? Yep. You'll listen. I'm going to take a couple minutes of your time. I sent you a mailer 6 weeks ago, and it was an invitation to the MREI, Millionaire Real Estate Investor Workshop. I didn't see your name down. Bob, let me ask you a question. You have 3 kids under 5? Oh, yeah, I do. Bob, how are you going to pay for their college? They'll be in college all at the same time. You ever think about that? It gives me nightmares. I know it's true. So what are you going to do about it, Bob? You know, you didn't sign up for the seminar. Oh, I understand. I don't want to be a real estate investor. buy their college for 20 cents on the dollar. Would that matter? Well, of course it would, but that's what this course is about. So I'm going to put you down. I'm going to put Marge down. You're coming. Well, let me check my calendar. No, forget your calendar. You're coming. Are y'all listening to me? The failure of us as a community to do that has created unpaid college debt for a bunch of people. Y'all need to understand that. This is our fault. This is our fault. One of the oldest pieces of advice realtors were taught, and I'm talking 50 years ago, was you tell people when you have a baby, you need to buy one investment property. And that'll pay for their college and be their asset you leave to them. Now, is that good advice? It's really good advice. And somewhere along the way, we all stopped saying that to people, and now we have this massive unpaid debt. There's lots of other things you can talk about that will have emotional impact on them about housing. When you call and talk to them, just like Bob, when you get somebody who vibrates to the conversation, then you want to get in front of them. The minute you know there's some interest there, do not keep selling on the phone. What are you supposed to go for? The appointment. Stop talking and start acting. Talking is for a chance to act, to do something, and that's what you want to do. So don't keep talking. Good, I'll see you there. Well, what's it about? Oh, you don't know about it. I'll see you there. Got you now, March 2. No questions about it. You're going to be there. Now, they may not show up. Is that true? Okay? That will not change this conversation. This will happen again because you're going to do this 2 to 3 times a year. Do you understand that? Bob, this is 3 times. I think I need to talk to Marge. Put Marge on the phone. I bet she doesn't know there's a way to pay for their college, and you ain't told her, and I want to talk to Marge right now. What does it mean to call yourself a consultant? And in KW, we believe you should all be consultants, not agents. Is that true? And a consultant tells people what they need to hear. Whether it makes them money or not, they tell people what they need to hear. Some of you are getting people through lead gen who want to sell a home to buy a home. Is that true? Some of you are only being salespeople because some of the people in that scenario who are selling their first-time buyer house to buy a move-up house, you should be telling, you know what? You can still qualify for a 0 to 3.5% down loan on the next house. And this is an incredible investment property. You need to keep this house and not sell it, and this will pay for your kids' college. So I want you to keep this house, and we'll train you real estate investing, and we'll help you get a low down payment on the next house. In fact, with Keller Mortgage, we'll save you all the points on your mortgage, and that will help you pay for the down payment if you need it. So you got a path here to not only get a new home, but grow your wealth and pay for your kids' college. Wouldn't that be wonderful for you? And well, yeah, baby, yeah. But you understand, I got one believer, okay. But you understand how quick a lot of us are to just want to get that double deal. I want to list and sell and help them buy. We smell that deal and we go for the deal instead of think about what's the best for this person. Is that true? I see a lot of you nodding your head. Experienced agents know this, and yet we're all guilty, us experienced agents and everybody. All right, the 2 eyeballs, and then the special client club. Gary's been talking about this forever. The people that you call sphere and past client, those people should feel like it's special to know you. Part of making people fans is that they feel different about you than they ever felt about a realtor they've had in the past. Well, what makes people feel different about you? They're treated special. Laura's sitting on the row here. She was on stage talking all about this program. The pumpkin pies, the movie theaters. You do 12 a year, is that correct? So they are treating people special, bought just because they know her and her team. Is that true, Laura? That's it. So she treats them special. Well, what do? And you don't have to go all out as much as she does, although it's not going to be that expensive. That's another discussion. But you need to be serious about a special client club. That would mean they get value from you. Value could be a free opinion of value on your home once a year, every year. Why do you need that? Know what your equity is, get rid of mortgage insurance, find out in terms of equity, because you might want equity to pay for kids' college, hello, instead of pulling out loans, right? You also might want to know your position in terms of buying a new home. So free opinion of value. Check your insurance. Challenge your tax rate. There are many reasons to do this once a year. What else would you do? House information, house updates, greening, special incentives at the local gas utility to swap out the gas appliances, all kinds of stuff. And then there's the gifts and the parties and the fun. But treat them special. And then the last one is a referral appreciation program. If someone ever does refer you, if you're blessed with a referral, do it again. And what's the way to make the odds go up that they'll do it again? Thank them. And when do you thank them? After the closing? No, you thank them the day you get the referral, right? Yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house. I got your name from Bob at work. Do you know what the very, very best thing you can do is? When you hang up the phone, you drive in the car straight to Bob's work, you walk in the door with an invitation to a party, a dinner for two or whatever, and you go straight to see Bob. Bob, I just got a call from Ed who told me you gave him my name. I can't thank you enough, Bob. Here's dinner for two, Outback Steakhouse on me. I can't thank you enough. Now, would you please go and introduce me to Ed right now? You'll not only make him want to do it again more than anything else you can do, but Ed's going to be in the bag. I mean, Ed's signing the paperwork. Do y'all understand this? This is a slam dunk. Now, you're busy. You may not be able to take that fast in action, but the point is they still need to get thanked that day. Put it in a courier, hire an Uber, get the thank you, whatever it is, dropped off today, and realize it has nothing to do with whether you make money off that referral. The guy who sent me may not qualify for a mortgage, may want too much money for the house, deal goes nowhere. I don't care. I want to love on that person for doing that. Does that make sense? That's what that is. So if you're a single agent or a new agent, pay attention to a list of 5 things you're going to do with your sphere and your past clients, because they are long-term, they are the ones that are going to make you stay in this business. Choices. You have lots of choices for the 135. These, in terms of Keller Williams research, these are some of the ways KW agents typically will build their business with sellers and with buyers. Number 1 is sphere and past client. Number 2, FSBO. FSBO. Number 3, expired, and then just listed, just sold. When you look at these, when you talk about sphere and past clients, I know a lot of you call your sphere, you do, and you ask them, do they know anyone who wants to buy or sell real estate? And they almost always tell you, well, no, not really, not today. Is this true? I want you to think about the question you're asking them and change the question. Change the question. Ask that question, but then ask a follow-up question. Well, I appreciate that. You're not aware of anyone who wants to buy or sell a house, but let me ask you this question. Is there someone you know in your family, among your friends or people at work who are having a life event? Is someone having a baby? Is someone getting married? Is someone getting a big raise? Is someone's youngest kid went into elementary school, so now the wife's going back to work? Who do you know that's having a life event? Because in my world, that's where housing moves get created. So do you know anyone having a life event? Look around. Does someone have balloons and a cake at their desk at office? What's going on over there? They get married? Are their hearts shaped on the balloon? Are y'all following me here? You're asking a question, but you're not asking the second question, which is sniff out what a move looks like. Does this make sense to you? Okay. Ask the question. The FSBO, most important thing about FSBOs to know through all the research we've done is you just need to work a handful. You need to work 8 or 10 all times, and the odds are you'll get 10 to 20% conversion. If you work, in other words, you'll get 1 or 2 out of 10. Is that true? Yeah. What's the issue? Work them steadily. Got to keep in touch, because the reality is they list in 4 to 6 weeks. Who do they often say they hire? When asked by NAR, who surveys them, how'd you pick the agent? The most common answer, most persistent. So what does this mean? You got to keep a steady string of communication with them where when they hear your voice, they say, I told you not to call me, and hang up. Right? You can't have that kind of a relationship. You got to start off nice and slow and warm and fuzzy and easy. I'm not trying to list you, Mr. Johnson, just like to know if you cooperate. You do? Wonderful. Second question, is it possible I can come by and take a look at your house? Sell a lot of homes in your area, also sell a lot of for sale by owners, to be truthful, because I'm an easy guy to work with. So if you let me come by and take a look at it, who knows, I might have a buyer tomorrow for your property, and I'll come over and we'll do a deal. So can I come take a look? I'm not saying a word to him about listing his house. That is irrelevant to me. What is relevant is he looks at me as a possible resource and will allow me to keep talking to him. Y'all thought, hey, it's Gene again. Yeah, I know. Thank you for the tour I got last week. I appreciate that. I'm just touching base. Is it still available? I have an incoming reload that actually might be a candidate for your home. I don't know yet, but I just want to make sure it's still available because I'll be talking to them this afternoon, and it's possible I'll want to call you back and see it tomorrow morning. So it's still available? Well, yes, it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. I'll let you know what happens either way. Now I have permission to make another phone call. Are y'all following me here? Keep in touch, because what happens in 4 to 6 weeks? You know, Jen, I've been thinking, could we talk to you about, selling the house? Love to. 10 o'clock, 4 o'clock, which works better for you? Do y'all get this? This is the way it works, yes or no? All right. Expireds, number one thing on their mind is what's it going to take to sell this sucker. They thought they had the right realtor, thought they had the right price, thought everything ought to work, and here it is 6 months later, and they got bookus, right? They're not happy. So you need to pay attention to that reality and deal with it right up front. I'm sure you're disappointed. I'm sure you're tired. You may even be angry because I'm a realtor. You got mixed feelings about me. I understand all that. Truth is, give me 15 minutes, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to sell your house. And whether you hire me or not, I'm sure that's on your mind. So why don't you let me come over today at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, which works better for you? I'm just trying to get in the house. Boom, get in the house, get in the house, get in the house, get in the house. That's it. When I can get, if he'll let me in the house, the odds are better than 50-50. I'll list it. Y'all understand that? The odds are much higher for me. And then just listed, just sold. If you work just listed, just sold cards as a mindset, this could be circle prospecting with the phone. You can call all the neighbors around the listing you just sold. Hey, we just sold your neighbor's house, the Smith, 1515 Smith Street. I've got multiple buyers still looking in the neighborhood. Would you like to sell your house? Or you can butter it up. Just asking, do you know any neighbors who might want to sell their home? Because we have multiple buyers interested in buying properties right now. We just sold the Smiths in 7 days for full price. By the way, I'd be happy to come and talk to you about real estate values. That's it, right? It's either a door knock to do that or it's a phone call. Mail works. It's far better if you do it by phone or by door knock. Way better, right? Way better. Like how better? Way better. Thank you very much. This is a smart group. What's Keller Williams agents? #1 in the world. That should be good. Yeah! Woo! In every metric, including intelligence. That's good. I'm sure of it. All right, classics for buyers. Very similar. Sphere and past clients, but then open houses and sign calls. New agents, watch this. Experienced agents, don't lie, don't hold back. Maybe you sold a house to somebody you met at an open house. Raise your hand. Woo, look at that. Okay, thank you very much. Golden opportunity. Last year, according to NAR, 60%, just over 60% of people who bought houses attended at least one open house. Is that a high field for you to mine? Yes, it is. You know it's going to happen. It's very prosaic. Sign calls. Now, in almost all markets, over the last several years, sign calls have actually been diminishing. Why? This little stinker right here, right? They sit in front of the house and put up everything they want to know right here. And they can see everything about the house except live. Is that true? So what does that mean to you? You see, your time is offering one thing to them, and it's the house. It says it. For sale. Right? House for sale. Right? For sale. So they're not calling you because they can find out all they want to know about that offering. But suppose you had another offering that they can't find about. New to town, full relocation package. Text this number. Haven't bought recently? 2018 guide. It's 2018. 2018 guide to buying homes. I just want to make sure. 2018 guide to buying homes in Austin, Texas. I know I'm not in Austin. Y'all understand this? Start offering things that they can't get online, that they can't find. They won't all work, so you need to try several. Interested in a pool with a home? Text this number. Like to learn about new construction? Text this number. Start offering different things because buyers, as we discussed, come from a variety of orientations. You can get calls. Here's the point. They're still out on the street driving around. Is that true? So that they haven't gone away. They just don't need you to find the information on the thing you're offering them. Right? That's the issue. And then apartment building absentee owner. People move in their life from renting to owning at a fairly reliable percentage. And that percentage is roughly 30% will rent and 60 to 70% will own. So it's in that range. So tenants are going to move in waves into the ownership movement. Even millennials are buying homes now. If we have more inventory, is that true? That's absolutely true. In fact, their saving rate is higher than their predecessors. The best way to work that is the research says people that rent in an apartment building typically move within 3 to 5 miles of where they rent because they chose where they rent because it fits their lifestyle. So it's no shocker that they don't want to go far away because they picked that spot because it is close to work, because it is close to church, temple, synagogue, the golf course, whatever. It fits them to live there, right? So if you have a property listed and it is in an area with a lot of apartment buildings, or there are vacant ownerships, meaning the properties are leased in, you need to think about the reality of the money. So if you know that this apartment building has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and rent for $1,400, and you have this nice, cute little adorable home 3 blocks away, and the PITIHOA on that sucker would be about $1,250. You take a photo of that and you put, instead of $1,400 buying a building for a stranger, your $1,250 could own this home. Call me now won't last. And if you think about an apartment building, people are coming off lease every week in a large apartment complex. Every week people are making a decision. Are we going to stay or are we going to finally buy a house? Y'all get that? This decision is happening over time. It happens all the time. All right, so there's some classics right there, and they all work. Everybody that's seasoned will tell you those all work. Try to think about synergy. Synergy helps. So if you have a strong sphere, you've lived somewhere forever, and they happen to live in your neighborhood, then farm your neighborhood, and then do open houses in your neighborhood. This is synergistic. Your mastery of the products you're involved in is going to be high. Your ease of the showing or working people is going to be high. It is the way to think about in terms of building synergy. If you're working your sphere, you could also choose Facebook. If you have a strong percentage of your database on Facebook, you could choose to use Facebook and my sphere cultivation mail and a blog. So your blog could drive people to your Facebook, the Facebook could drive people to your blog, your marketing mail to the sphere could drive them to your Facebook and your blog. It all works together synergistically. Does this make sense to you? Okay, think of synergies. Don't make it hard. Build a CGI pipeline with your database. These are the touch programs that we use. Whatever groups you're going after, friends or strangers, and that's all you got. You got friends or strangers. You're going to use one of these 3. I know the KW agents in the room are very familiar with 8x8, 33 touch, and 12 direct. I'm not sure you conceptually understand really very simply what they're about. The 8x8 is a high-touch, short-term approach. It's a high-touch, a touch a week for 8 weeks, or a touch a day for 8 days. It's bam, 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 and then you stop. Because your goal is to convert that person into somebody who now knows clearly who you are, and I'm going to put them in a straightforward 33 touch. What's the 33 touch? A high-touch, long-term campaign. Because at the end of an 8x8, somebody could say, okay, I'm all in, or stop mailing me stuff. Is that true? So you make a decision. Either go into the standard long-term high-touch, or they exit out the system. And then you have the low-touch long-term, which is a 12 direct. And that is always about strangers. Because you're not going to be doing what, most likely? You're not going to be calling them because you have no relationship with them. So a lot of times this is just a touch. It's about big numbers. 2% is the number we think you're going to get. And again, mail, call, see is the ultimate strategy. You mail people in order to call them or to have them call you, and then you talk about the mail. And that leads to the appointment. It's not complicated. So, the database. When we talk about building a database, if I asked you if you have a database, I'm going to guess all of you would probably say yes. Is that yes? Yes. But the question is, do you have Ford? We started off talking about this. Do you have Ford? How much do you really have in there? And Ford is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And the dream part, I think a lot of people don't get. It's not world peace, although that's a lovely idea. And I would love to see world peace. But what the dream is about, the housing dreams. What kind of home do they dream about? And you'll discover if you start asking this question, a lot of people have a housing dream. People sometimes don't, but a lot of people go, yeah, you know, one day we would like to live on some acres outside of town. One day we would like to buy a really beautiful antique building. One day we'd like to build a new home with the builder. We've been actually doing some magazine searches and we tear out floor plans. People have housing dreams. Do you believe that to be true? Yep. My wife and I have 3 homes and they're all on water because we've dreamed of having waterfront property. My name is Rivers. Hello. It's in my DNA. I mean, literally, my name ancestrally, my name means people who live by the water. That's where that name comes from. So I'm just attracted to it. So ask about the housing dreams, and also dreams about real estate investing, and also, and those of you who sell homes in a typical market where the average price is $200, $300, $400, people that are buying homes at $500, $600, $700, $800 and higher, they all are dreaming about a vacation home if they don't already have one. Y'all understand that? Because they have the assets to do that. They just don't know if it's worth it or not. Well, there is a lot of business being done in my state in Florida with vacation home ownership, and it's being done in a lot of other states in terms of the Carolinas, or, I mean, you pick it. It's all over the place, right? And if it's not in your own state or in your backyard, well, then get a referral fee, but get them into their dream. Is that true? You want to make people send you referrals? Try helping them get into houses they dream about, right? That will make them a raving fan. Think about the day of the home anniversary we already talked about. Occupation, think about where they work now, where she works, he works, where they work before they work where they work, because these relationships can come back and really work for you. If you have a half a dozen past clients who have worked at or currently work at a very important business in your market area, and then you are so lucky as to get a senior officer or a leader in that company to use you and give you a referral, does it matter that all of a sudden in their inbox here's a permission given testimonial on you from one of the senior people in their company that they either work at now or have worked at, and recognize this means something? Yes or no? Or it's somebody who's a deacon in a church who gives you approval to use a written testimonial or a video testimonial, and you push the button and you have 47 people in your database who go to that church. Does that matter? Yes or no? Yes. Does it matter if you list a golf course property and push one button? Now we can do this, push one button, and out of 20,000 out of 5,600 names, I can find 2,400 people who list golf as a hobby. Does it matter that they get the golf brochure? Yes, it matters hugely. This is about data mining. A lot of you have bought data mining services from companies saying they use predictive analytics, yes or no? Yeah, you understand this, and I'm not being critical about those companies any more than Gary's critical about Zillow, but they're using, He said it, it's not personal. It's not. You can't stand him, but it's not personal. You know? But the only reason you're paying somebody to essentially mine data that's relatively public, in other words, you can go out there and find it, that's what they're doing. The best data is the private data. And only you can get the private data, right? And you need to get the private data. You need to collect it. And focus on that dream home thing. It is my belief, I firmly believe, that your mindset should be anyone I sell a home to needs to buy at least one other property from me. They need to do that. It is imperative that they do that for their own benefit. Do you believe that? Yes or no? Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. Do you believe people benefit from buying real estate? Yes or no? Oh my gosh. Then why do you rest when they buy one? There's only one number lower and it means none. You understand it? How can it be that you're done at one? You cannot be done at one if you believe it's imperative that people buy real estate. My wife and I have bought a lot of real estate, and I'm telling you, as an agent, and I'm talking about you, you need to buy more real estate. Because if there's anybody that has a leg up on the game, it's you. If you start paying attention to it, you'll see great investment opportunities all over the road map. And I'm telling you, you're not building your retirement plan. I know some of you are working on this, but aggregate, Rebecca and I have about 1,000 people across North Florida in market centers, and they're not building their retirement plan. And every one of you, and everyone watching this, is going to hit a point in their life where they will not want to work, or through accident or illness, will not be able to work. And at that point, if you can't work and you don't have an asset base, you're in serious, serious financial trouble. Is this true? This is true. You better pay attention to this. So when I tell you, should you invest in real estate, you better scream. All right, so work in your database. Names and forward go in. This is how names and forward goes in. The drip campaign, start. Noted in the file. Noted in the file. The drip campaigns. You might very well put somebody on a separate drip campaign for real estate investing because of their situation or their financial assets. You might put somebody on a drip campaign about new construction because they expressed an interest in their next home being a new construction home. But the point is, you set up at least the basic campaign and collect their data. If you're going to do that, if you're going to take a name and collect their forward, that literally means something very simple, and it's this. Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. I got your name from Bob at work. Wonderful, wonderful. Hold on a minute. I need to get out a form and ask you some questions. At first point of contact, you collect data. A set amount of data. So tell me, are you married? Do you have kids? Yes. Where do you work? What's your phone number? What's her phone number? What's your email address? What's her email address? You collect data. You collect data. You start off right then. How long have you lived in your house? Do you have any mortgages? What are the total amount of those mortgages? When do you need to move by? What will happen if that doesn't occur? And all this will drive the conversation you're going to have in 2 days when you sit down with them. Yes or no? But because you collected it and put it in the system, you will use that data. As long as they're in your world, you will use that data to help predict future opportunities for yourself. Number 3, the calls are made about the mailers and the data. We talked about that. And what's the real purpose of that call? Update the data. Update the data, because your marketing materials at some point are going to coincide with them about to have a life event. Y'all get that? You're dripping, you're dripping, you're dripping, and suddenly they find out they're having a baby. Now all of a sudden the dripping has a lot more interest to them. Does this make sense to you? You know? I'm telling you, it's the way it works. When you see that there is something going on, potentially down the road, you set not only that data in the database, but you set the next point of contact. Because if you're calling every 90 days, you have a preloaded phone schedule in there. But if somebody said something where you realize, I need to talk to them in 30 days. Well, it's so funny you call. Yeah, I might be getting a promotion at work. If we do, Marge and I have kind of talked about it. But we might be buying a bigger house if I get this promotion. Well, that's exciting, Bob. When are you going to find out about that? Next month. I got my annual review next month, and I'll find out then. Well, you better update your database. Y'all follow me? I mean, if they get that, and it's 3 months past that when you call them again, you are going to miss the opportunity potentially. Is that true? Okay, you update the database on that call, and that will reset the 90-day trigger call. So it'll automatically default back to every 90 days unless you set another call, right? So you might go to 30 days, and you might go to a week, and then you might go to a listing and a sale and a transaction, and at some point it shifts back to every 90 days. You follow me? It's just the way it works. And then you call them and ends up seeing them. Calls become self-generating over time. And by that, I simply mean this. If you do this, and you have a standard agent net database of 500 plus or minus, you're going to find after about 90 days, the majority of the calls you're making come from the database feeding you. It's time to call these people. And it will start building and building, where instead of, who am I going to call today? And what am I going to talk about? Now you have a list of 14 people to call, and every one, there's a reason you're calling that will relate to the last conversation, and it'll make sense to them. And to them, you know how it'll feel? It'll feel like you really are sincere about trying to help them. And you are, but you're also trying to do it for 400 people, and you can't keep track of it that easy. But the way it feels to them is you're really focused on them, right, for the last month. Okay, and it boils down to this. You're going to need to be doing activities like lunch, happy hours, dinners, barbecues, parties. If you're an agent in the room and you do not consider yourself a social person, you are handicapped in this business. I'm just saying. Is that true? Okay. A whole lot of sphere cultivation is going to end up with you becoming more social if you start to get it. Because here's the truth. The people that you know if you stay in touch with them more, they're going to start inviting you to be more engaged with them. Like, hey, we're having a barbecue Saturday. You want to come? Y'all get this? And is that a golden opportunity for you? Yeah, because it ain't just them. It's 8 of their other good buds. And I'm going to mind that sucker. And how do you mind that? I'm going to introduce myself to everybody, and I'm just going to introduce my name. I'm Gene Rivers. What's your name? I'm Bob Johnson. Bob, what do you do, buddy? And all I got to do is ask that. Sooner or later, Bob's going to ask me, what do I do? It's funny you should ask. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to need to step up your game. You're going to need to follow the lessons of Bold. You're going to need to talk to more people. You're going to need to collect data. You're going to be out of the business altogether. And you can do this and have fun doing it. Do we have any questions? And I don't know that we have do we have a hand mic out? No? Yes? I don't know if we do or not. I don't see one. This is being live streamed. So, what? You have a question? Yeah, go ahead. I'll repeat it. He asked him what database management system I'm using. I'm going to use the one that Gary Keller is creating as we live and speak. And yeah. And I mean this with no disrespect at all to any other product, but at this moment, whatever you're using, just hang with it until you have the solution from KW. Just don't worry about too much change. This is going to be a very big change coming. Be ready to put the energy into that. Just hang where you are right now. Yeah. She asked the question, which is, okay, she's trying to catch up. She's got Mets and past clients she hadn't spoken to recently, and she wants to kind of restart the relationship. Am I saying it right? Okay. Say, hey, Bob, I haven't called you in a long time. How you doing? I mean, I'm serious. Just get over it. Say, I've been thinking about you, and I haven't called you in a long time. Let's catch up. What's going on? You get my mailers? Give me some feedback. What do you think of my mailers? Because you haven't opted out, so they're tolerable, or you use them to start your fires, or what do you do? And I'm really not kidding. Just be relaxed about this. Get on the phone. Just start chatting. Have a couple of jokes. Just talk. Just talk. Here's the truth. A lot of people that you know actually like you. And there's nothing negative in you calling them. They don't think about the fact you haven't called them for 5 years. They think about it's nice to hear from you. Right? Just relax. Just relax. Yes? Well, you got to make sure they're coded fields, because if they're coded fields, you can do a run out of your database with one topic, which is the coded field, like golf course hobby, right? Or goes to this church, right? So that's the only issue, is you got to make sure they're coded fields, right? Just like in your MLS, you can search by bedrooms or price, right? Those are all coded fields, and you got to do that. That's it. It's not complicated. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am, in the back. Shout it out. Is there a place you can go and access people's phone numbers? Yeah, there's tons of places, from really cheap and bad results to really expensive and great results. I would try Vulcan 7. I know a lot of agents, and we use Vulcan 7, but RedX is cheaper, but also gets results. There's a lot of places to get phone numbers. Yes, sir. Well, number one, he asked me about a new agent. What should you do if you don't have a lot of money, but you're a new agent? You don't need to spend a lot of money to do a lot of marketing touches if you get email addresses. And the way you get email addresses is by talking to people. So I would talk to people. If you're new to town, and this is a serious question because we're a mobile culture, if you're new to a market area and you want to grow your business, you have no option. You got to understand, you have no option, but you got to get out there and start talking to lots of people right away. Or you got to target a specific arena, like expireds, right? You could go after just expireds every single day, and over time build a business purely out of doing that. We have plenty of agents who've done it. A lot of you know Tim Howell. That's what he did. So you can do open houses in the office, bar open houses, but don't do one a week. Do 3, 4, or 5 a week and work the neighborhood every time you do one. I mean, do a bunch of houses. You have got to talk to more people if you want to sell more houses at whatever volume you're at. Is that true? You brand new, you ain't sold nothing, you gotta talk to a lot of people. You sell 200 houses a year and you wanna sell 300, you gotta do 1/3 more people talk tos than you did to do 200. It's all about talk to people. The end result of this is shown up in our industry. What is expansion built on? Hiring people to just call people all day long, right? And the people that are calling are people that they spend money on the internet to get contacts to convert to phone calls. Yes or no? That's it. It's about find the numbers or the emails and then have people respond immediately. This is the game. It is talk to people. That way, or that way. But that's the game. So it doesn't cost any money. It costs time. And it's going to work. And then you're going to have to start spending money. But it'll work. Yes, ma'am, in the back. Yes. There's nothing awkward if you're doing the mailings that have relevance to their personal situation, and that's what you've got to understand. And if they have kids, you have so much to talk to them about. You know, there's a move because of the growing kids. There's maybe a school zone decision. There's a need for equity to pay for a pool in the backyard so your kids aren't going to those neighbors' kids who they hate. I mean, there's all kinds of issues that you need to mind. I can't emphasize that enough. But you just talk to them and find out what's important about housing. If your mailings are valid, though, remember, you just chit-chat, hey, let's catch up, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I sent your mailer 2 weeks ago, and that's actually why I called. You know, the mailer was about, there's an opportunity right now with the city gas company to upgrade your gas or your heating system to gas at half price. Are you thinking about any remodeling recently? No, I don't think we're going to remodel unless we move. Oh, so you're thinking about moving? I can come over tomorrow at 4 o'clock or 10 a.m., which works better for you. I'm serious. All right, one more and then we're going to stop because this is being live streamed. Any other questions? No, that's it? All right, thank you all. Good luck. And goodbye, Keller Williams. You're number one. You're number one, Keller Williams. Number one.
In the real estate market, sellers and buyers have great expectations. And as a real estate agent, you take pride in fulfilling them. But some things are beyond your control.